So next comes the ring-tailed lemur. Ring-tailed lemurs could be cousins to the raccoon, except they're not really, but they look very similar to the raccoons as far as their colors and patterns are concerned. The shapes are quite a bit different. These guys spend a lot of time on their hind legs, so they have some pretty good thighs right here. They have some pretty good muscular back legs to jump and stand on it. And again, there's always a reason for everything in nature. Ring-tailed lemurs spend a lot of time in the trees, so they get around by jumping from branch to branch. And that's also where this big striped tail comes in, because they also use their tail. To make a ring-tailed lemur, I picked a toilet tube that was a little bit longer than the raccoon, and I painted it sort of like in a grayish, blackish kind of color. So first, let's look at the head of the ring-tailed lemur. They have some pretty pointy little ears, right? So I wonder if we should squish the tube down to make the pointy ears, or if we should make them out of paper. I think we should do both. Okay, pointy ears. So I think we should try and make the ears out of paper, because they're not just straight up like this. They're sort of coming out on the side a little bit. And they're most definitely white. So we'll start with white paper. Alright, so we're starting with 2 small pieces of paper. So look at this shape, sort of like round at the bottom and kind of pointy at the top. So it's sort of like a triangle with one round side. So if we do a triangle with one round side, we got ourselves some lemur ears. Oof. Ear number 1. Okay, so lemurs have white ears. And there's a little dark right in the middle, so I'm going to take the white ears that we made. Oh, they're pretty big. And I'm going to color them in a little dark in the middle. So next, now that we have our little lemur ears, remember they're round at the bottom and pretty pointy at the top, and they're pretty much white with a tiny little bit of black inside. I'm going to try and figure out how can I make a face of an animal creature that looks like a recognizable lemur. So again, we're looking at basic geometrical shapes and basic pattern. To me, the lemur's face looks pretty much round, so I don't think this shape is going to work this time. So I'm going to go with a circle. I'm going to cut out a white circle. Alright? So let's see what we have that we can use. And again, you can, if you want to, you can trace a round shape. This is just a bottle cap. To make a circle, you can actually trace the toilet paper tube to make a circle, or you can just freehand it, because very few organic shapes are perfectly geometrically symmetrical. So you don't need a perfect shape, just need sort of like a round kind of shape. Alright, so if you want to, you can trace, but you don't have to. I'm going to do one that I trace and one that I just freehand. Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, so check this out. This one was traced, and this one was free-handed, not too shabby, right? Okay, so now that I have my basic shapes, let's look at that little lemur face. How is the lemur face different from the raccoon face, and what makes a ring-tailed lemur face a ring-tailed lemur face? They too have dark or black markings in their faces, but there are quite a few differences between lemur face and raccoon face. Use your science and artist eyeballs to look very carefully for the details. Okay? Alright. So the lemur has a dark gray forehead. It looks kind of like a bad haircut, like his mom gave him a bowl cut. So he has a gray sort of forehead. He has bright yellow or yellow-orange eyes, and he has black kind of shapes around his eyes, but he doesn't have the straight across mask that the raccoon has. He has the same little black nose, but it looks like his snout is dark too. So there are some shapes we can work with, right? My circle is too big, I make it a little smaller. Okay. Alright, so it looks like we need gray and black, and then maybe yellow or yellow-orange. Alright, how to turn a white circle into a face that is recognizable as the face of a ring-tailed lemur. Alright, step one. The lemur has sort of like gray right here on the forehead. Like when you cut your own bangs and then you regret it later, that's what that looks like to me. Okay. So notice I switched to colored pencils, but I think crayons would work too. Okay. Now we have a gray forehead. And then the basic facial structures are really the same. They have a little prolonged little schnoz, two eyes in the front of their heads, not at the side, and then sort of like a split muscle, and then this little muscle right here. So the basic shapes are pretty much the same. If I use a pencil. Alright, so lemur has, two eyes, kind of big and round, and yellow. And then a little pretty small triangle little schnoz. It's black. The whole nose is black. And then they have their two lips right here and a little chin. And the whole thing is black. Oh, and now you can't see the details anymore. That's alright. Go over it again. So they have a little nose, lips. And it looks like they have some whiskers too, maybe, probably. Probably they have some whiskers. Again, not sure, find out. Okay. And what's really striking about the lemurs are the black sort of markings around the eyes. Again, in a raccoon, they go straight across. Like this. So in a raccoon they go straight across, like a superhero mask. But in a lemur, they are just going kind of like around the eyes like this. Oops. And they're pretty dark. And they have yellow eyes or orange eyes. So you want to be extra fiddly. I saved some hole punch cutouts. Or you can just color them in if you want to. Okay, let me just glue. So far, so good. The only thing that I really don't like about my ringtail lemur is that if you look at a real ringtail lemur, they have a white belly. It's really quite pronounced. The back is grayish brownish, and then the belly and the chest are white. Because I'm a stickler for detail, I'm going to fix that on my lemur because I don't like it the way it is. I'm going to just color his chest and belly white. And again, I didn't notice that till I really looked like a scientist for every detail. And the only thing that's missing to make this a ring-tailed lemur are their little hands with their little human-like fingers and the very long, very striped, ringed tail. All right? So with the little hands, you can just color them on, or you can cut them out of paper. So I'm going to just color them on. Oh, I'm going to count the toes first, because remember, details matter. Okay, sorry, let this do a little bit. So how many fingers and toes does a ring-tailed lemur really have? Again, I only have this one picture as a reference, so I'm going to go with this picture. All right, use your science eyes, focusing in, zooming in on the detail. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, and you know who else has 5 fingers? You and I. Alright, I'm going to color in his little toes, fingers. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what's missing? The ringed tail. And that is going to be a project, because look at this thing. This is ridiculous. This tail is longer than the whole body, so we're going to need a pretty big piece of paper. And this is clearly a black and white striped tail. So start with white paper, if you can, and add the black stripes. If you only have black paper, that's okay. And you have to figure out how you're going to add the white stripes. So I'm going to start with white paper. And is this tail big and fluffy, or is it more skinny and a little bit more smooth? I think it's both skinny and long and fluffy, and whoop, he's carrying it in a curve. I think the funny thing about ring-tailed lemurs is that they can actually stick the tail straight up. And right now, a lot of museums and zoos and science centers have movies and online content that you can watch. So I bet one of them has ring-tailed lemurs in action. And I know that there are very good nature shows where you can see ring-tailed lemurs in nature. Alright, so let's make a tail. How many stripes do long-tailed, how many stripes do ring-tailed lemurs have on their tails, and do they all have the same number of stripes? Again, I have no idea. Find out and let us know. This guy happens to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 maybe black stripes. That is a lot of stripes. So I'm going to need to find kind of like a big piece of paper and see what we have here. Yeah, there you go. That should work. And I'm going to just sort of freehand it. This looks like a figure S or a question mark depending on where you're sitting. So from where I'm sitting, this looks like a figure S. From where you're sitting, this looks like a question mark. All right. Okay, so I think maybe something like that. That looks good. I'm going to go with that and then see what it looks like on the back. So I'm just going to, I know this guy has 16 stripes. Let's see how many I can fit on there. And you can cut it out first and then color it. But because this is a pretty big cutout and it's also kind of skinny, it's going to be easier if you color it in first because you might rip the paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I'm going to make it 14, 15, 16. Boom. All right, I'm going to cut this out with a little bit of extra space at the end for gluing. Okay, let's see. What do you think? And that's all the time we have for today. See you next time for more Toilet Paper Tube TV fun.